Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have some very intriguing things coming on when it comes to Xbox in the future of the gaming industry. And as well, we're also kind of seeing some folks once again kind of plaguing the question that I even kind of brought up on my channel on is just the Xbox console going to become obsolete? So I'm going to go talk about this, talk about the good and the bad and everything else in between. So you guys will sit back, relax, and enjoy. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We got that Twitter and Twitch link down below if you guys want to follow. And of course, we also have the Weeble link down below if you guys want to sign up, get a bunch of free stock and money, just deposit a little bit of money, it's good to just withdraw, sell it, whatever, all linked down below. So as you guys probably know, these past few weeks, we've been seeing a big influx of, number one, people being very curious on what the future of Xbox games is going to turn into when it comes to Sea of Thieves, Hi-Fi Rush, and a few other various Xbox exclusive titles coming to platforms like Nintendo or PlayStation. And as well, the somewhat emerging lifestyle that Xbox is okay with just releasing games everywhere. Well, they want to go and have games sold on PlayStation, on Switch, and I also kind of think the part two that's always been, they're getting this Activision acquisition, they're getting and spending $70 billion, they make a lot of revenue on consoles such as PlayStation or the Switch, or even on things like Steam for PC, so they're kind of getting this idea where, yeah, we have the Xbox, we can make money on the Xbox, but we don't want to be the only Xbox supplier because we can make so much more money by being a publisher and spreading out games. But right now, we've actually had some of the big Xbox directors go and speak out. So let's go talk about this because it, number one, further supports the idea that Xbox wants to expand not only on Xbox itself, but think the Xbox brand. So it's kind of always, I think, two big distinctions. You have the Xbox console, which at this point is kind of being phased out in all honesty. Now, not instantaneously, but I'm sure over the next 10, 15 years or so, it'll be a completely different Xbox than what we have now. And then part two, the Xbox brand, which would factor in, like, games being sold when it comes to accessories, when it comes to more so namely Game Pass, and as well all the brand new publishing, which is now a bigger aspect, because prior we had a few Xbox game studios, think like Halo Infinite or say Gears of War, but now with Activision and it's becoming, instead of just an Xbox, it is now in Xbox as a brand. So we've had a very intriguing tweet kind of flown on over here, which is according now to the ZeniMax employee Sarah Bond, who is an Xbox director, so someone who's a higher up at this point when it comes to Xbox, will now be apparently speaking in the spring, so next few months, to explain the change in Xbox's strategy regarding Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves, and all the other games now going multi-platform. And now this has been a pretty big and pretty prominent thought process because we've been seeing the leaks and discussions on games like Hi-Fi Rush, which was an Xbox exclusive and a Game Pass shadow drop, to now be coming to other platforms. Now, I've always kind of said the same mindset and kind of somewhat what even PlayStation does as well, where you go have a game, you release it on Game Pass or say day one for like a year or so, think PlayStation, and you have that nice timed exclusivity. And typically after I'd say a year or so for a game, you're not usually getting too many residual sales, at least in comparison to the first few weeks, first few months of a game. Think like Pow World. That game will get a lot of sales these next few weeks. It's still kind of flavor of the month. You have people setting up servers and playing together or whatever, but at the same time, that game will go and fall down over time. That's kind of how just the nature of gaming is. It'll lose its interest, lose the TikTok memes. A good example is Elden Ring. Elden Ring had a few months where that game was just off the wall, and a few other various things such as like Game of the Year would probably go and bump up sales. But at the same time, after a while, like let's say as of this literal this 1 second right now in this moment in time, Elden Ring is still doing sales every day, but it's not insane. Like we're at the point where if they were like say a PlayStation exclusive, this would probably be the time where they'd want to go and release it elsewhere, so they start getting other sales. But that kind of makes sense. Like things like Sea of Thieves kind of ran its course. It's a good game, fun Xbox experience. But at this point, I'm sure not many new players are playing the game. And also in the facet of multiplayer games, you sometimes want to re-release it. So you have a new install base for people to check out the game. It kind of makes the game fun and fresh again. Same with content creators or whatever it might be. Hi-Fi Rush is a good example. Is a single player game like if you wanted to play the game or play it on Game Pass, you probably already play the game or play it on Game Pass. So what happens at that point? You go and then, well, release it on Nintendo, release it on PlayStation, and kind of get that extra additional money. I feel like PlayStation kind of does the same thing, but instead of doing it for, say, Xbox or Switch, they'll usually just release it on Steam and kind of still impact the broader market. Xbox is more of like, hey, who cares? Put it on PlayStation and the Switch, why not? Also say, wait for springtime. So this is kind of like the big announcement. Sarah Bond will be saying something, you guys will be fine. And here's basically what an employee is leaking on like what they want to do for the future of Xbox, saying they're more so on the metrics being driven. So some people kind of focus on different metrics, such as PlayStation, would probably be like how many individual, say, Spider-Man sales do we get. Now, PlayStation is a slightly different market because they also have Marvel behind them. They have Marvel being like, hey, we need to go sell 5 million units if you want to maintain our branding. So they kind of have to maintain these numbers on a PlayStation exclusive. It's kind of like different. Versus Xbox, where Xbox owns most of their stuff. Microsoft is like the biggest company on the entire planet, even if you're like, say, Indiana Jones, which does have a game coming out in the very near future. They don't necessarily need it. Like, Microsoft makes a lot of money on other various products, and of course, they can kind of make whatever they want, and also even having things like Call of Duty kind of gives them a lot more gusto in the gaming universe. But say something like PlayStation actually needs something like Marvel, because, well, that's just driving a lot of sales and driving people towards the game itself. But on top of this, they're also saying internet Discord isn't considered, but the concerns are valid, saying everyone kind of bring up that Xbox might be maybe looming into like its console going away, so they focus on Game Pass, or as well focusing that Xbox wants to be pushed towards everyone. This is something that's considered more of the like considered, but they're not going to be 100% making an opinion on like, say, Twitter people or Reddit people or YouTube people, but more of just what they want to think. They say the considered a discourse. If you looked at it from a different angle, there is missing information that you may not see, which is intriguing, and it makes you want to see what Xbox is going to say, because I just want to know. Also saying allusions to be very concise explanation by Xbox about the situation, saying that they want to go and have Xbox give a one-to-one. So if they want to start bringing other outside of games to their platforms, they want to specifically say on Xbox from Xbox employees being like, yeah, we just want gaming as a whole to be available for everyone, which kind of leads towards another point they're going to mention in a second, saying the big three platform holders, so think Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation, have the liberty of paving the road and laying the brick at the same time. Now, this is probably going towards like what a lot of folks are alluding towards in all these rumors that say Hi-Fi Rush or Sea of Thieves is going multi-platform, because once again, Xbox wants Game Pass. We've kind of known this is the big drama. They want Game Pass. So what's going on with this is that they want to also be like, hey, we could put this pressure on PlayStation, put this pressure on the Switch, and that would let them go and be like, hey, we're Xbox, or we're doing this, and then it kind of lets the audience go and be like, hey, if Xbox can do this, Xbox can spend the money, Xbox can release all these games day one on other platforms, why can't PlayStation? Why can't the Switch? And it's almost a very intriguing marketing strategy, where they're basically putting the ball in other people's courts by doing the right thing first. And that also would, in kind of reverse psychology, would also make it better for them. Because if they can go and somehow make every console and every game be available everywhere, they get the exclusives. And that's where, say, PlayStation, the Switch go and shine. They don't want to go and give up their exclusives at all. Xbox, no offense to them, doesn't really have anything kind of big on the exclusive mark. Halo's kind of been a flop. Other various games such as Fable, we haven't seen them prove themselves. Gears of War is okay, but nothing kind of like to write home about. Like, you can live without Gears of War. But that's the intriguing thing, because something like, say, like a Spider-Man. If you get Spider-Man on Xbox, people might want to go play on Xbox, you know what I mean? And on top of this, too, it just makes sense. Like, if they can get this, like, new standard that everyone shares games, well, then they'd also have a lot more leverage on, say, the average consumer to push for things like Game Pass on the Switch or Game Pass on PlayStation, or have a combination of the two. And this almost kind of then, like, leads Xbox to being number one, although they've only been like number 3 for these past few months, past few years. But now with the Activision basically acquisition, they are now the big head honcho. So if they're trying to go be like, hey, we want Game Pass everywhere, now it's not guaranteed. And places like PlayStation and like Nintendo might be a bit stubborn in regards to how Xbox is acting, but at the same exact time, it's very intriguing to see this. So it's almost like a reverse psychology, trying to go and control the overall ecosystem. They want to be like, hey, you guys want Game Pass, right? We'll go beg PlayStation to get it. Oh, PlayStation didn't give it to you for whatever reason? Well, that means that PlayStation's bad people. You should probably come to Xbox instead. We actually care about you. But at the same time, they have the money to spend, and it's almost like they're willing to go and spend the money to get the overall community favor, which I will go and have to respect as a business strategy. If everything is kind of doing what we see based on these comments, that makes a lot of sense. That's very, very smart. in the end of the day, I think Xbox in the future might be making some really, really, really big moves. Now, a lot of these conversations have been discussed and covered, but at the same time, there's huge NDAs, and no one knows exactly what one-to-one Xbox is going to do. But at the same time, people are very kind of curious, and this also might be changing gaming as a whole, and I think I might be for it. Like, I think for consumers, it's good. For PlayStation, the Switch, and everything, may not be the best, but when it comes to us as consumers, for Game Pass or whatever, I think it's a win. So we're going to go, well, kind of go and see, I guess, what happens in the future. So make sure you guys are subscribed, give me your thoughts and comments down below. We also have the Twitter and Twitch if you guys want to follow, and of course, sign up for Webull, deposit a bunch of random money, and you guys get a bunch of free stock, just instantly sell it, withdraw it, whatever, and go from there. But I appreciate you guys all. Let's go and see you guys later on tonight for another video.